and then we'll get into the show, introduce everybody, go over all the whole spiel, all that normal stuff,
Yep.
that we like to do.
We're hitting buttons. We are live on a couple of things right now.
Cool. I love it. It's a beautiful day outside. I love it, man. This is
Yeah, it
awesome.
is.
I was getting the Wi-Fi reach. I was like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna try to go outside and just see if the Wi-Fi reach, and I'm like, this is perfect, man. So
Yeah.
that's where we at. All right, so let's, barring any other messages that I get. All right, let's get into this, man. What's up, y'all? My name is Jay Faith, hip hop artist and member of Minds of One Collective Genius. Here, right on Wednesdays, where we just bring people on, have some conversations, and just bring you tips and resources that you can use in your everyday life, depending on what you are aiming or what your goal is. If you haven't already, make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Shout out to Bars Over Bars for giving us this platform for us to be able to connect with y'all here today. And today, our guest, man, he wears a lot of different hats, and I'm not talking about just the same Bars Over Bars hat that I always see him wearing, but from producer, videographer, artist, to hosting his own podcast on Bars Over Bars called the Prophecy Podcast. My man, Obese the Prophet. What's going on, man? How you feeling, man?
What's up, man? Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, man. You know, it's another day. It's not 100 degrees, so I'm happy about that. It's like a very nice day. I got to be out today, so that's always good.
Yeah, definitely always a good thing. Like we were just talking about, I'm outside, I'm loving it. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. It's just that right, clutch temperature. And I know you're in Maine too, so like even me being in Mass and you being in Maine, the temperature difference is still kind of a little bit twisted a little bit. Like you were saying, you got winter like what, like 8 months a year?
Yeah, 7-8 months. Yeah,
that's wild, man.
Yeah, it's like 62 degrees here right now.
Oh, that's not terrible. That's not terrible at all.
Yeah.
So how far up are you in Maine? Because like I remember we were talking about like videos and all that other stuff, and like it's a trip.
It is, yeah. But I mean, I don't ask people to come here, even though like there is a few spots out here that are pretty dope. But maybe eventually, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of like towards the top of Maine.
Okay.
Near the Canadian border. Actually,
okay.
I can share real quick and show you where it is because I got Google Maps over here pulled up.
Oh, word. I just like to get like geographical references of where people are, because like you could say Maine, but Maine is big as hell.
Huge. All right, so here you go. If we back out of here, right? So here's Maine. You guys are down here.
Somewhere. Oh yeah, you way up there. Okay.
Yeah. So like right here is Canada. If you see, I mean, this is the town that I live in right here. This is a national refuge. This is an old Air Force base. This area right here, which is all abandoned now. Well, there's a few buildings that they still operate, but it's mostly abandoned, so it's pretty sick. And there's Canada, which I can't go to. So,
dang.
But yeah, no, it's not the tippy top, but it's up north there. It takes me about, I don't know, 6.5 hours to get down there to Boston, maybe if that.
Dang.
The whole way.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yep.
Be outside. That's crazy, man. And appreciate you coming on here today, having a little conversation. Like I said, like you wear. Now, I think I only know like a small of what you actually do, because you've done. I've seen you do videos. I've seen you rap, or I've heard you rap. Obviously, produce. Which one did you like? What was like the first thing that drew you in doing music?
Well, all right. So it was like 1990 and in 1999 in the summer. I was like 15 years old, about to go into my first year of high school, right? And I was with Eminem had just dropped his album Slim Shady album. We had been bumping it, and seeing the fucking crazy response it was to that, and always being a hip hop head before that. Like I started in '94, first album I ever got. Well, it was a cassette tape, Snoop Dogg, Doggy Style. My stepfather bought for me. not knowing really what it was, but just looking at the cover of it being a cartoon. Like he looked at it like it was cool, just
Yeah.
buy it, whatever. So kind of from there, listening to all that G-Funk shit got me into Warren G and Dr. Dre and all that. And so then by the time 99 came around, I was very fluent in all that shit, Nas and Wu-Tang and anything that was like, you know, commercial and all that. Like that was where I was looking. But I mean, I liked a lot of underground shit because my cousin was very underground. My cousin, co-host on the Prophecy podcast, Justin, he was very underground. He liked Most Def and Common and like that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? And I liked a lot of Nas and like fucking Mobb Deep and shit like that. And Wu-Tang and shit. And so we would always be like, you know, intertwining our knowledge and from different angles of hip hop and shit. And so in '99, after kind of like fucking around and seeing how popular Eminem was and like freestyling, we were in the pool and like we were like, we could do this rap shit, we could do this shit, like whatever. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. So then I jumped on like the old ass computers back then. I started like fucking with beats. We were on mp3.com where they used to do a lot of they had instrumentals and producers and shit on there, and grabbing beats from there, just kind of like making junk shit, you know what I'm saying? Like stuff that wasn't that great. I remember recording on like a microphone that was like one of those little desktop microphones that it just like looks like a stick with like a little fucking, you know, little thing on the end. It's like that's what we had, but that's what we were using. And so yeah, I mean, basically that's kind of how it got started. And then yeah, from there we just, my cousin really didn't, he was like super smart. So he was getting like honor. He was like honor roll, you know, like one of those the National Honor Society fucking people all at school. So he was like on the college pathway, and I you know had thought about it and wanted to go to Full Sail, and he wanted to go to Full Sail, and I ended up like backing out the last minute, and he went down, and then like a month later, I showed up at his place at his apartment down in Winter Park, which is right outside Orlando. I showed up down there, but my mother got me a plane ticket. I'm like, let me go down and at least check it out, see what it's about, and I can shadow him in, you know, see what it's about. So I did that, and I just noticed how crazy the schedule was. They had him working for that 4-year degree in like 13 months. Oh, that 2-year degree in 13 months, and lab at like 3:00 in the morning. And then he'd have to work because he had to make money too while you're there, because it, you know, when you're like 18, you got to pay for it or whatever. He couldn't get like full whatever because his parents had to help pay. So yeah, he was working doing that, and I'm like, bro, I cannot do that. There's no fucking way. Like I'm not into that. So I bounced out after a couple of weeks down there, partied with him a little bit, whatever. Came back and I just jumped into trying to do music shit. At that point, there was a dude in Maine who was like, his name was Poverty, and he had signed a record deal and all this other shit. And I was like 19, and his manager had heard some beats. And one day somebody introduced me to him, brought me right to his house, and I played some beats in his living room. And the rest is history. That his manager wanted to sign me right off. So they signed me. That I started making beats for him. I was in the studio all the time, and I was just like learning. And I was like 19. We were doing hosting open mics in Portland, Brunswick, all over Maine. There was a bunch that we were hosting. And I was just like a kid. I wasn't even allowed to really be in the bar, you know? And shit like that. And so my name kind of got around a while. And of course, being young and stupid and cocky and whatever else, you build some good friendships, which I burned some bridges along the way, like I'm sure some people do. And so like there was a time where like a lot of people there was a bunch of people who probably didn't like me that much in the area after, because the whole thing went down with Poverty. Was like the first person to really get a record deal who rapped, like, you know, major deal from the state of Maine. And a lot of people felt like he should have he was not putting people on, you know, and like they were like, are you going to put us on? And he was like feeling a certain way. And that in turn, I was associated with him. So that in turn, I would have to defend him if I heard shit, you know what I'm saying? So
guilty by association.
It is what it is. And I'm still, you know, would defend him because, you know, it was like he did try to put some people on. So needless to say, I took a break. I got into like, for a period of time, I was doing after that, you know what I mean? I just was living the lifestyle like a fucking rock star, even though I wasn't really, sleeping at the studio, partying, doing drugs, drinking like every single day, you know what I'm saying? And just kind of turned into like everything started getting sloppy. Shit just wasn't as it was. And then, you know, I met my wife, had a kid, everything changed. I moved away from down in Portland area and I came up north, and that's where I started, you know, raising the kids. And then I ended up going to school, going to college at 27.
Word.
And then like, you know, everything else kind of happened after that change positive. So, and it's kind of remained that way. So I just kind of stay on that path, you know?
Definitely. No,
Yeah.
that's crazy. That's a crazy like turn of events. How like how things can really happen like in an instant and
Hmm.
really just like. And it's sad, with the music industry, like even being associated with somebody can ruin your own reputation,
Hmm.
and you could not even like you could be associated with them, but not even necessarily agree with what they agree with or deal with what they deal with, but just simply by name. It's crazy. Antonio, what's going on, bro?
Yeah. To answer that question, I got started really producing. Like I wanted to make,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And then the rapping kind of came along as I couldn't find anyone to rap. Like no one was rapping, you know what I'm saying, around me. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I just kind of did it out of that. I wanted to make songs. I wanted to create. And for me, that's like, that's how I had to do it. So at first I was just like, I'm going to make the beats. I'm going to rap. And then my cousin was like, he was a shy kid, you know what I'm saying? So for him to try to rap and like show people, it wasn't really happening, So I'm like, I kind of stepped up. I'm like, well, let me try something, blah, blah, blah. And then once I realized, you know, I was selling little mixtapes around school and shit. It was popping. I was like, I'm gonna get online to this website we had called mainhiphop.com, which was like 2002, 2001, 2000
Hmm.
onward, pretty much to like 2008, I think, or nine when it closed. But everybody would go on. There's like forums, and you could post your songs, you could post key styles or like writtens and shit. People would go on there and
Yeah.
people and they had show everything. So like got on there and I started reaching out to people, and that's like this is prior to the poverty thing. I had reached out to people, and there was like all these great MCs in 2000 to 2003, like this kid Ryan Augustus, who was signed to Spose's record label. A bunch of people who were like just super dope, and worked with them. And now when I look back on that work that I did then and how they were. So these kids were like the same age as me, but they were far more advanced than I was. And I say that now, like even then, like I knew they were just miles ahead of what I was doing for rapping. So I kind of took like a back seat to the rapping shit for a
Hmm.
while. You know what I mean? I was like, let me
Yeah.
just focus on making beats. And that's when I got signed to that little management deal for Poverty's manager Chip, he gave me an MPC 2000 and was like,
Word.
here, take this. Like, you don't know how to use it because all I had ever used was FL Studio to make beats. So
Mm.
I kind of self-taught myself how to use the MPC. And from there, once I learned how to use the fucking MPC, my beats, they improved dramatically, not only on the MPC, but my knowledge of things by having to do it that kind of mechanical way on the MPC. My
Yeah.
knowledge of things on the FL Studio expanded as well because I was like, oh, now that makes sense. And you could MIDI it to the MPC and shit like that. And so I was like, oh, this is dope. So it really brought me to a whole nother level when I got that MPC. So I'll forever be grateful for being able to have an MPC because at the time I didn't even know what one was. All I knew was I had seen on the inside of the Chronic 2001, Dr. Dre had the MPC. He was like
Oh
sniffing
yeah.
the
Yeah.
weed, and the MPC was there. That was like the gray
Mm.
2000 XL, whatever. That was the same one like I had. You know what I'm saying? Well, he gave to me. And I took that thing everywhere under my fucking arms. I'd show up at parties and I'd
That's
sit in
dope.
the corner and I'd plug it in and I'd audio into their stereo system that they had, and I put my headphones on and it would be playing out and I'd be making beats like while people were
That's
fucking like
dope.
partying. Yeah, that's the kind of how I like was in a zone. Nobody else was there but me and the MPC. And what can I sample? Yo, go to the record store, go to the store and go get me CDs of old rock, 80s rock. Get me anything you can find out there you think would be good out of the bargain bin. Here's $20, $30. That's how I started off. Like,
Word.
yeah, that really brought me to a whole other level. I always talk about the MPC because, um, not that it's a necessity. Like, you don't need an MPC to make beats these days. That's a fact. But
Yeah.
having one like just really helped me elevate my music knowledge. I think, which is important to kind of bringing me to where I'm at right now.
Yeah. I think people like forget that sometimes, and just as a whole, like there's different avenues that can prove to be successful when it comes to learning and studying a craft. Like you said, like you were literally hands on when it came to learning about making beats, like literally like hands on. And like
Mhm.
today's era too, like you don't see those people that are carrying the MPC around plugging it in and going, yo, I'm about to throw you some beats. Like, let's go. Let's make something like right off the spot. Like everybody, nowadays everything is so electronic. They pull their laptop, they pull their laptop out and then, open Fruity Loops and then, from there it's just making beats and putting stuff together. So
Right.
like it's, for me, I'm such a classic person and, maybe that's just age speaking or whatever, but I like to see like the hands-on stuff versus just, let me just, push a couple buttons and not that that's a bad thing, but um I like to see people expand on their craft over different mediums than just one specifically, like a
Yeah.
laptop. Like if you can use the MPC, if you can use the keys, if you can,
Yes.
play different instruments and plug them in and
Hmm.
all those great things, like that shows me how you're trying to learn a little bit more about your craft. When you compare like even guitarists, like you could have Joe Schmo, but then you have Jimi Hendrix who knows different chords and different ways to play the guitar because he learned to just expand himself from just, the typical notes that everybody knew.
Yeah.
As a smaller example. So it's super dope to see like people just, I love to see when people just expand themselves from just one specific medium of how to do something.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So like for me, I kind of been doing the music thing for a while. So it was like 2019 ish. I had a couple artists that I was working with. We were putting out music, and I kind of was like wanting music videos, and I'm like, how are we going to get music videos done? Started asking around for like people's prices and shit, and I was just like, $400, $500 seemed a little steep, whatever. I'm like, is there any way that we could get this done cheaper? So like, how are we gonna get
Yep.
it done? So I reached out to somebody I knew had a camera, and I just had a couple ideas, and I was like, let's film this shit or whatever, and we can see if I can edit together a video. And that's kind of how the music video thing started for me because um, I was just feeling stagnant, really, like creatively. Like I could make a beat in like 10 minutes, and it was like
Mm.
not a challenge to me like anymore. Like I just had so many VSTs at my disposal and sounds. I got like 25,000 plus drum sounds on my hard drive. You know what I mean? So like, and I've
Yeah.
been using them for like 20 years. I have sounds that I've had since the beginning, like on my
Damn.
hard drive, which is
That's
crazy, but
wild. That's
not
wild.
all of them, not all of them, but
Yeah.
there's shit there from like 2002, 2003 samples, sounds, everything. So like for me, it was like stagnant in a way where I'm like, okay, I've done this for so fucking long, and it's almost like getting boring to me. What else can I do to stimulate my creative mind? And boom, so music videos came around, and not just music videos, but just editing videos altogether. So in 2019 that happened, and then I moved out from Maine to Phoenix in like the end of 2019, and then we were renting out there, and this condo place, right? And
Yep.
this lady ended up like, well, Corona happened, and like in January, started hearing on the news about
Yeah.
Corona happening. So we were like, we're not going to fucking stay here for that because 7 million people here, and back home there is like 1 million people in the whole state.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
thinking about this logically. If this becomes a thing, so mid January we're thinking, okay, we're bouncing now, we're going back, and we stopped in Florida, and by the time we got back to Maine, it was like mid February, and had gotten pretty serious. And then then a month later, shit was locked down, but we had got an apartment out here, and we're just like, we're gonna wait it out, and that's kind of like stopped the whole music video things. I had stuff
Oh, it's
lined up in
terrible.
Phoenix. Yeah, I had stuff lined up in Phoenix to work with some people too. I had just started working with these kids. Matter of fact, on the Prophecy podcast, he was one of my first guests, Daniel Slade. He's from out there. He's like a producer and a singer songwriter, and his brother's like a really dope rapper. And we had super plans. I met him at this place I was working at, and then next thing you know, it was like fate had brought us together, bro. Like we were in there singing. One day, his brother was like, "I'd rather be at home, fucking, making a beat," and I was in front of him,
Yeah.
sitting right next to his brother, and we had already been laughing for and training for like the first week together. And
Yeah.
then I was like, "You make beats, bro?" He's like, "Yeah, bro. What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, me too." And I'm like, "I got MPC, I got a computer, I wrote all the shit to record, blah blah blah," and ended up recording some songs with him. And then the whole Corona thing happened. I had to bounce back. So like we were like, we're gonna make music videos. We had locations picked out. Super dope out there in Phoenix, by the way. When it's not
Yeah.
120 degrees and roasting your skin off, it's pretty dope from
Yeah.
like October to April or whatever,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
But so that kind of sidelined everything, and then 2020 was nothing. I did absolutely nothing as far as videos were
Sucked.
concerned. I was at home, and that's kind of when I got into the podcasting and everything else. And I mean, late 2020, but I had just got into music all 2020, and then as soon as things started lifting, and I got my vaccines, my wife and kids got vaccines now, and I'm feeling more comfortable. I'm able to travel around and be safe about it. Yeah, back to videos, which is awesome. I got
No, it's
like
cool. It's cool.
seven videos done now just since coming out of this whole corona thing, and
Oh, that's
my
dope.
plan is to get like 100 videos done in the next fucking year, which is crazy, but I mean, I feel like I could get it done.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy, man. It's crazy like how we can actually meet people too. Like I always love those stories about like how we meet people. Like
Yeah.
I went down to Florida. I have family that are down in Florida. We were just down there visiting. And we were like, you know what? Hey, let's go get a tattoo. Why not? So I got this tattoo right here. And we're in the shop or whatever. I'm just chilling. I'm a super laid back person. Like I just chill. I don't really talk to people that much. And my brother-in-law, who's like this super goofy kid, he just goes up to this kid that's interning there. He's like just kind of hanging out, just doing whatever. And he's like, "Yo, my boy Jay Faith over here. He's a rapper, man. He's a rapper from up north. Like you should check out his music." And the dude was like, "Yo, I make beats. I'm a producer." So like so it's like crazy, but like we exchange information, like we become like the one of the, like the closest of friends. Like he's come up here, he's visited up here. He was like big into the music industry for a while. He was doing like shows for people. He's sent me beats. Actually, one of his beats is going to be on one of my upcoming albums.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you have to. So like in retrospect, like you have to open yourself up to talking with people and like just putting yourself out there
Yeah.
and letting people know, because you don't know what people have behind closed curtains of what they do and the connections that you can make through music. And yeah, COVID like threw everything for a loop when it
Yeah.
came to everything. And the other point that I was going to make, that I was thinking of when you were saying like a lot of like what you've said is like I got bored and I needed something else, or this happened and I needed something else. And I think what a lot of people, especially creatives, need to recognize and do is, because I think a lot of times this happens, is they reach those points. Oh, I'm bored, or COVID, or something is stopping me from doing what I normally do.
Mm.
I'm just gonna stop. Everybody's stopping. All right, I'm gonna stop. But it's like for you and for people who are really in it to win it per se, they find ways and they find things to fill that void. And I think that's what a lot of people who are creatives need to do is find things to fill those voids, or
Yeah.
or again, like we were talking about earlier, to just expand yourself, to have different skills that you can use and pass on to other people. So it's like, yo, you need a beat? All right, cool, you got me. Oh, you need a video? Yeah, you got me too. Like there's so many different avenues that you can use now,
Mm-hmm.
because you've been like, no, I'm not settling for just sitting around and doing absolutely nothing. There's money to be made. There's things that need to be created. How can we make these things? Like you said, like sitting around and we need a video. What can we do? I don't really want to pay $400. Been there, done that. Know exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we got to create. Let's
Right.
figure it out. Stop sitting on your ass and just figure it out, man.
Yeah.
We're in a day and age where you have YouTube. Like, worst comes to worst, get on YouTube and just pop in a tutorial about something that you want to figure out, man.
Yeah. That's how I learned everything about shooting music videos. Really,
That's
YouTube.
that's what I'm doing now, because I'm gonna be a studio engineer, a recording engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully very very soon at an actual studio. Right now I just do it from home,
Yeah.
and I've been just constantly just researching in YouTube and just learning like how to record, not just like pressing buttons and
Right.
hitting the record button and stop, but like how far should you stand from the mic? What are
Mm-hmm.
the settings supposed to be? Because there is a giant difference that a lot of people don't know from just hitting the record button, and how that music actually enters into your DAW.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Hard
go ahead.
limiting, fucking normalizing. These are important things. Especially when recording hip hop and shit. Compression, hard
It's
limiting,
huge.
mastering or EQing for master or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It can be crazy at times where like you're like you can get lost in it. Like, damn, you can work on something for so long that you have to like leave it and come back sometimes.
Yeah.
But if you can find a formula that works for you, like once you find something that works, make sure that you save those settings. That's what really helped me is I have a settings like for people I work with. Like I got my own vocal settings for mastering, and I have another person's vocal settings for mastering. And usually because I'm recording on the same mic, which I got this Bluebird mic, this blue mic, which is
Hmm.
like it's like a
Yeah.
pretty expensive mic for me anyway. It was like $600 when I got it. It sounds good, which I'm talking on it right now, and it doesn't even have a pop filter in front of it, which is sick.
That's actually pretty good because most of the times you do need that pop filter because else
Yeah, I
you're
mean
just gonna get
it'll
some
hit
crazy
sometimes, but
feedback.
another key thing is on the mixer, which I got a Yamaha mixer, is I always keep the compression turned up through the mixer, so everything that's coming out of my mixer is already compressed, and it hits into the computer and it's already compressed or whatever, and then it makes it a hell of a lot easier when I'm doing the mastering and shit to keep it where I want to be. And I just kind of know since 22 years of practice, basically, is just I'm quick like on recording. Like somebody, I'll be like, as long as you practice it and you know the words, like we're gonna have this song done in just as long as it takes you to rap it, like 3 times,
Yeah.
4 times. You record it 15, 20 minutes. That's how I always thought it should be, because that's how I would used to go to studios, because studios cost mad money. Back in the day, you'd be like, I know I'm gonna be in there for this out. We have an hour. We'll be out there in 58 minutes,
Right. Yeah,
because
exactly.
like I want to make sure that I don't get charged extra, blah 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 blah. So that kind of spawned from that. I'm very like OCD and kind of like controlling when it comes to that shit, especially if something's being worked on a beat of mine, or I'm on something. I want to hear the stems before it goes out. I want to make sure that it sounds good, if I'm not mastering it myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I have faith in other people to do jobs like that, and I don't care if someone else is doing it, but I got to hear it, and I got to have the stems too. Like I got to have that. It's like a
Yeah.
need, even if I never even open them up. Like I just have to have it. So for if I ever pass away, my kids can come on my fucking hard drives and they have all the music that I ever did. It's all there right now.
Word.
So, and in 2020, it really sparked my creative side, and I started making tons of beats and putting out songs. I put out like an album, which was like a compilation album, Tri-Town Legacy, which is a bunch of dudes I kind of grew up with that are all rappers and shit like that. It took
Hmm.
5 years to make this fucking album because a lot of them like in and out of jail,
Believe that.
addicted and shit like that. And getting it all together was like a super hard thing. But I produced everything, mixed, mastered, engineered everything, and was on some of the songs. And I put that out, and then I put out 5 B tapes on Spotify
Damn.
and all streaming shit. And then I put out 2 other singles, and then I put out songs with Libsy. I got live resin with Libsy, and we dropped Dread. And then we did music video for live resin, and I shot 2 other music videos for Libsy so far. So like music videos though, I can't talk enough about it. Libsy, and I was like, I'm crazy behind the camera too. Like I always got vision and shit like that. Like I'm always like, yo, do this, yo, do that. Hold on, let me get this angle. Like, and it was funny because Libsy's like, I've done some music videos before, but usually people don't talk as much as you do. Because I'm telling them like, do this, do that. Like, because like they think of it as like, you're shooting a video so you can't talk, but with a music video, like you could just be like, yo, do
Yeah.
this, and no one's gonna know what I'm saying because I'm not on camera. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, I like it though because it kind of keeps him focusing. Because like if I'm like seeing something as I'm recording him, and I'm like, yo, I need you to walk off to the right, and I'm gonna walk straight forward and go like push through this window. You know what I'm saying? And he's like,
Yeah.
just does it, and it's like. He was like before he wasn't really getting that. Felt like he kind of had to be like, "Am I doing it right?" Blah blah blah. So I'm like, nah, bro. Like, I want to do these videos. And plus, the best part about it is we get to travel around all these places like we ain't never been before. I've never been to New Bedford. I've never been to Salem. I went out, did an XL video in Salem. I had been to Fenway, but never when it was as dead as I went to shoot fucking Boston with Hero. It was like
Oh
so dead. We
yeah.
parked on Lansdowne Street. We're just like walking around and shooting a video over there. And I had never seen it like that dead because anytime I went, it was busy,
Mad people. Yeah. That's
So
wild.
no, pretty cool. I'm thinking I'm doing a video for Chemic in July in Malden, which I've never been to also, and then another one with XL again, but this time we're going to go to some different places in Salem, like some witch trial related places and something. He had some shit in,
Word.
yeah, he had some shit in mind, and well, the wife and kids obviously want to see that. So that'd be dope. I love learning history and taking them for that. I think it's really important. To show the kids that, like, we've taken them everywhere. They've been to the Grand Canyon, they've been to Las Vegas, you know what I'm saying? So like they've been Phoenix, which Phoenix is dope in itself. Like we went and saw fucking Phoenix Suns versus Celtics games out there when we were there,
That's sick.
which
That's
was
sick.
dope.
That's clutch. That's clutch.
Yeah, definitely. We watched them smack them. Not that they would have done that this year, but they did in 2019 when we saw them out there. But no, just like yeah, being involved in the culture out there too was good for them. They went to school out there for a few months, so they got to learn about native culture and obviously see a lot of Spanish
That's
Americans out there,
That's
which was
right.
something they had never really been with. In the whole school, there was like 4 or 5 white kids. 2 of them were mine. Okay, and
Damn.
this school was like, so it was crazy for them. Like, but not like it matters. It didn't matter to them. Like,
Yeah.
but for me, I was like, damn, you know, because I never saw that, especially where I was like, damn, are they gonna? I'm just like worried about like if they're gonna be okay. Like it was crazy because we were registering them for school and we're sitting in the front and it was like the bell rang and all the kids are walking by and there was one white girl who walked by and then doubled back
It
and
was like,
looked at my
wait.
kids on the bench like. What the hell? And in the schools out there is all. Most of them are like uniforms, so you got to wear this. Everybody's got to wear the same shit, which is
Been
something that
there.
I had never seen really out here either. So my kids are very artistic and expressive. So having to wear a uniform was very hard for them.
Yeah, I did that for 9 years. I went to a Catholic school, kindergarten to 8th grade, same style
Yep.
uniform the
Yep.
entire time, man.
And I
And then I hit
understand the
high school,
concept.
and I was like, what are clothes? Like, what are these? Like, I was like, I get to wear my own clothes. Not gonna
Yeah.
go school shopping. Like before, it was just like, all right,
Mhm.
blue shirt, gray pants, dress shoes. All
Yeah.
right, I'm cool. Now it's like, oh no, I actually have to go buy actual clothes now, and I have to wear them. So
Yeah, I understand the concept behind it, kind of keeping everybody the same and not having like people excluded from having clothing and all that stuff. I mean, that's you know makes perfect sense. But for
yeah,
their aspect, it was hard for them. But they actually adapted to it pretty quickly. But then we came back here and they're back to wearing whatever they want. You know, they got rainbow socks, they got like
yeah,
hats and like kitty cat ears and whatever else they want to wear. I don't really, it's whatever, you know. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, so the journey of making music to videography, I mean, I do a lot of graphic design too, you know.
Damn.
I like putting
Okay.
together. I fly my drone. I got a drone. That's pretty fun. I make a lot of videos of when I go to places. So like I like lighthouses. So when I went to New Bedford, I flew the drone out into the
Oh
harbor and
yeah,
I
I seen a
circled
couple of
around.
those. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so like I'd like to do shit like that. I'm going actually next Tuesday to Lubec, Maine, which is the easternmost point in the United States. And there's a lighthouse there called West Quaddy Lighthouse. It looks like a peppermint stick, white with the red stripes
Oh
on
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
It's one of the most photographed lighthouses, whatever. I'm taking the drone out there. I'm going to get some drone shots of that. There's another lighthouse that's not too far from there. I'm hoping to hit that one too, and bringing the dogs, doing the hiking thing, and staying overnight one night where we're not doing a music video, just kind of getting out for one night, couple days down there. So that I'm looking forward to that because for me, doing the music videos and being able to go do that is fun, and we're able to squeeze a lot of cool shit in. But sometimes it's like more work than it is. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
for them especially because when I do these video shoots, I go down for like a week, 10 days, and I
Mhm.
stay down there and I do a bunch of videos during that whole time. And yeah, a lot of it is I'm traveling and they're at the hotel room or they're with me, and it's like it can't be too fun when you're just sitting there waiting after you've done like 5 music videos. So like sometimes it's not as fun. So to get away and not have to worry about doing a music video and be able to take my dogs, which is, I don't really take them when I go because obviously it's another hard thing. I can't have my dogs running around video set, and I can't leave them in the
Yeah.
hotel room. So,
Right.
but this trip will be like everybody finally doing the first kind of summer thing, and then there's towards August I want to do a Baxter State Park, which is where Mount Katahdin is.
Okay.
Try to get some some hiking in up there and some fucking drone shots and shit in there because the state park I can fly the drone in, which is cool. But there's a national park area by Mount Katahdin where you can't fly a drone, which is crazy. I hate that. It just doesn't
So
make sense to me.
yeah. So you've got like 600 different things that are going on. Like how do you balance all these things and like still have some type of personal life? Like I feel like there's there's definitely some type of sacrifice of things that have been, maybe pushed to the side, not been able to do, whether it's COVID or just,
Yeah.
again, just doing like multiple different things. Like, how does that balance out? I know for me, it's like, and work, like just work life in
Mm.
general, like trying to balance all that, like is challenging. Like, how do you like get all this stuff without people being pissed off at you all the time?
Well, I mean, I don't have a ton of friends. I don't have a lot of outside like people I've got to entertain. The only things I have to do, and I, by the way, I mean, full time, whatever it is I do, that's my job. This is my job right now. So you're looking at it. This is where I spend a lot of my time, or I'm out making music videos, or I'm here on this computer doing podcasts or editing or making beats. And I sell, beats. And where I live, the cost of living is one of the lowest to live in the country. Like we pay $500 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. So, you know,
Okay, I got you.
it's cheap, right? So I only need to freelance up a little bit of money every month to make it work. And I sell beat packages all the time to people. There's a lot of that going around all through the pandemic. I've been selling 10 beats here, 10 beats there, and that helps out and has really gotten me through. And then through unemployment kind of kept us going for a while, you know what I'm saying? So that helped out being able to plan financially, which was hard to do because you're not really used to doing that. But when you're able to
Yeah,
kind of put stuff away when taxes come and stuff like that and plan, because being that rent so cheap, it's $6,000 for the year. You think of it
that's
that way.
true. Yeah,
If taxes
yeah,
come,
that's
you got
true.
a couple kids, you could just pay that shit. And you don't have to worry about it. Then your day to day is what you're just worrying about. You're paying internet, you're paying a little bit of this. So it ends up being not a lot. So being able to freelance is basically how I'm able to balance everything. If I was working 40 hours a week, I would not be doing all this stuff. Like if I was working at a fucking,
Yeah.
retail store or some fucking soul draining fucking job like that, it just wouldn't be the same. I wouldn't be as creative. I wouldn't have the time to do everything that I like to do and shit like that. And
Hmm.
I've run down that road, but for the past couple of years, it's pretty much been my money making has been. I mean, if I had a weed delivery business, I'm going to be completely honest. From 2018 to 2019, when I left for Phoenix, I was doing weed deliveries. Here in Maine, it was like medical deliveries were illegal, so I was doing that. I was a caregiver, and
Oh, gotcha, gotcha.
I had like a all bud and weed maps fucking set up, and people would call me when I just had what they needed. And Southern Maine was popping, so I was able to put money away for rainy day
Yeah,
money, right? And
definitely.
needless to say, the pandemic put a huge dent in that and everything else. But yeah, I'm on my grind, and I'm really good with money these days. And I wasn't in my 20s. I was horrible with my just spend, spend, spend. But
Same.
now when you got kids, I think of everything it's all different, So this whole thing has been going well enough. But when if things change, which I'm hoping to continue to have this money coming through the winter, but winters are hard, especially because I can't get out and do as many music videos. It's cold. People don't really want to do as many music videos, and it's hard to get there because of snow and blah blah blah.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm hoping that I can push through this winter with just what I've done this summer, and that's why I said I want to try to do like 100 videos this year. And by this year, I mean by like November.
Yeah.
But
Set yourself up
yeah,
for the winter.
yeah, try to just at least have something to get through that. But it's never easy when you try to do it the way that I'm doing it without having something to fall back on, because I really don't have a job. I can be like, all right, I'm just going to work this week. You know what I'm saying? I have to get out there, I have
Yeah,
to hit
yeah.
people up, and I have to be like, yo, I got a bunch of new beats. You need any beats? Or I can do mastering for people. I do that as well. You know, whatever it is, I'll reach out to people. Yo, I got this going on. I'll hit them with deals. I'm the hustler really at heart. So like, I know how to sell people shit. I used to do it with the weed business. If business was slow, I'd be like, today it's going to be $10 off carts, and I'm fucking selling, 5 foot. You buy 5, get a free cart. Blah, blah, blah. I would just do anything to make that money.
You
Like
got to do what you got to do.
exactly. So it applies to every aspect of my life, whether I'm selling weed or beats or mastering or graphic arts or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Like it is what it is. That's exactly what I have to do, because now it's not just me. When it was just me, I'd just be like fucking off, doing whatever. I just, I'd sleep on the fucking streets if I didn't have a wife and kids. So I just, as long as I can make music, I don't care. Like, but now that I
Yeah,
have
yeah,
them, I have to look at things completely different. So I do, and I'm happy that I've made it this far, being able to like freelance and
yeah, for
um,
sure.
be able to not really have to hold down a 9 to 5 like job or whatever. But not every good thing will come to an end. So I'm not saying that this will be happen. I don't think this will happen forever. If it does, dope. But like, if we can get this podcasting thing off the ground and sell more sponsorships and shit, like I've mentioned to Hero a few times, and just kind of monetize everything a little bit, I think that
Yeah,
eventually maybe we could do a little something bigger and build it from there. But until then, I'm 100% sold on this bars thing. I'm like trying to work my way up to partner. You know what I'm saying? Like I already said, like I promote everything. I act as if like I got my kids. You see my kids in bars over bars gear. Like they go to
yeah,
school. That's how they go to
rocking
school
it.
like
Yep.
that. Like it's something that I take pretty seriously, So and I always do what I can for everybody over at bars over bars. And yeah, so I have a brash way though sometimes of putting things. So some people think, especially through messaging, these days when you message shit,
Yeah,
it
I
just can come
hate
off.
messaging people
It
sometimes, man.
can
I
just
know
come
it's
off
quick.
differently.
I know it's quick and easy and it's like right there, but sometimes the message just don't get across
Yeah.
whatsoever, and then you run into a worse situation than you were 5 minutes before you sent that.
Yeah, and I'm really blunt. I don't really take like bullshit. Like I don't know. It's just how I am. Like I don't really consider. I guess I don't really consider how people will feel sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of like a good and a bad thing for me for my whole life. Like I'm a
Yeah,
straight shooter and I always fucking tell the truth about shit. But sometimes people just don't want to hear it. And since I've been with bars over bars, it's been a learning experience for me to kind of, and it's been good to kind of take the positive aspects of everything rather than looking at the negative shit. You know what I'm saying?
hmm,
And looking at the positive things, I'm able to pull the positive things out, and then that negative stuff kind of just falls away. And I think it kind of boils down to like constructive criticism rather than just plain old criticism.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And trying to find
definitely.
like anyone can say, hey, it's too fucking hot outside, or hey, there's too much smog outside. Anyone can just say that, but like, what are you going to do about it? It's like come at me with, hey, it's way too hot outside. This is what we need to do to change it. And I'm going to do this to start it. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of
Yeah,
action I like to see. Like if you're going to just come and say, I don't like the price of that fucking product, or I don't like this politician, or I don't like the way that this goes, but not have any like solution or way to fix it. Like I don't want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? Come at me with like, yo, I got this, I hate this, but I want to do this to do this. And it's like, you know what I'm saying?
it's
Like have a little bit of
excuses.
plan. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
excuses instead of working around those excuses. There's a
Right.
big, 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 big difference. And that's just that just shows how motivated people really are when it comes to these things. Are you just
Yeah.
going to literally just let excuses just stop you from what you're doing, or are you going to literally be like, all right, here's the situation, let's work around it and let's get this thing done. Like, unless
Mhm.
we got work to do, let's get it done. Let's figure it out. Let's get it done.
Yep. 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 But working with people, man, is like, the hardest thing. You're trying to maintain relationships or working relationships with people. You can't just be brash and like off the cuff all the time. You
It's
got to
hard.
kind
It's
of
definitely,
calculate what
yeah.
you say and shit like that. So, like I said, it's been a learning experience for me to be able to take a time to pause, because I'm very always off the cuff, always just like say, just rolls right out of my tongue usually what is on my mind, you know what I'm saying? But since being on these podcasts and having so many people submit music and having different guests come on of all different backgrounds and everything, and not me taking a more humble approach to it has been a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, you get to kind of see just those different avenues and those different people, and when you
Yeah.
get opportunities where people are actually like hearing what you're saying, like I think it holds a different value where it's like, I submit a song and you're like, yo, I think you need to do this, like, and for them to receive it and like process it and put it into practice in their own way, like that's a huge monumental thing, that I think a lot of people don't recognize. They take it for granted. They just,
Hmm.
they take the criticism and then they just move on. But it's like when somebody actually receives your criticism and takes it, like I take that to the heart, and it's like, all right, cool, like I'm doing something good. It's not just about
Mhm.
me and my craft and what I'm doing, but like as a culture, as a hip hop culture and a music culture, like we gotta be building people up and trying to like
Yeah.
make them better. Like we complain about, it's almost like what you were saying of complaining about something, but then not having a plan about it. Like
Hmm.
there's a lot of people that complain, oh, hip hop is trash. People are putting out trash music or putting out trash quality music, but it's like, have you talked to that person and been like, hey, here's an idea. Here's how you can not make trash music. And then
Hmm.
if everybody did that, which I know that's a perfect world, no one would be complaining about trash music that is coming out because everybody is going to be at the same level. It's just going to be a matter of who's just making the best music. But,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah, and music these days is really hard. You know, you got so many artists that not only just talented artists, but just artists in general that just are just putting out music that isn't that great. You know what I'm saying? And then you got artists who are putting out stuff that's great, but they're getting no recognition. It's just like there's so
wow,
many artists out there than there was, let's say, just 20 or 30 years ago. You know,
for
and it's
sure.
like hard to find an artist or artists in the new wave of things that are actually decent because you're always force fed whatever is on the radio or what's on your YouTube feed and shit like that, or whatever you see on social media. So like it's hard sometimes. You actually have to like spend time in searching out these artists by going on like SoundCloud and other avenues. Like I like looking on like playlists on Spotify too. There's a lot of good playlists like underground, new
Yeah.
releases and shit like that. It's a good place to find stuff, but you actually have to put in a little work. Whereas back in the day, I feel like it was just a little bit easier because for me, it was like a mixtape era where like we had people who would sell mixtapes on the streets and they would have them coming up from, we would go to like Boston and shit and buy mixtapes right on the street. And they were coming up from New York. They had Smack DVDs and so it was like a culture behind it where now it's just like everything's at people's fingertips and
Yeah.
everybody's lazy and they just want they see what's on the feed, they see what's on the TikTok, and that's they just gravitate towards that. Where back in the day, we actually had to put a little work into it. Like I had to leave
Yeah.
the state of Maine literally to go down and find a Smack DVD or whatever. I couldn't just go on the internet and find it if I want, like I can now. And I feel like that little aspect of that extra work kind of like made it a little bit more of a culture. Like today's cultures, well, I mean, I feel like it's kind of getting back to being a positive, like uplifting, like culture, but it was really like bad and weird for a while, like
Yeah,
strange and like
definitely.
just not
Definitely.
positive and like a weird. It was going in a weird direction, but I feel like it's kind of correcting itself, and things are there's artists that are out there that are just really dope and like blow my fucking mind. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
before, like maybe back in like 2012, 2010, 2012, 2015, I wasn't having that. Like there wasn't really anybody coming out that was like blowing me away. I know Kendrick came out around that time. He was pretty much like the one guy. Was like Kendrick Lamar is like super dope, and it's like,
Hmm.
man, where's he at? Like we ain't heard nothing from him. Like, but I
Yeah.
know I think he's got something coming. I'm hoping it's not like some off the wall, crazy, weird ass shit that's
Yeah.
kind of like totally different than what he did. Because what he was doing was great. It was working. It was something that was like genuine. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of times you get an artist that comes out like that, and especially with this delay we've had, I feel like it can just change the whole thing and come out like I thought the same thing was gonna happen to J. Cole. And J. Cole's still dope, like, but the releases, the newer stuff that he did, I was kind of like felt like he was trying to be inclusive and like trying to be
Yeah.
like do different things than he was used to doing too, which for him it worked out a little bit. But I feel like if Kendrick does that because he was already at a place that was experimental and different, I feel like
Yeah.
he if he tries to do more, it might not work. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I think
I
I
just
think
hope
part
not.
I think part of the problem, in my opinion, this is just how I see it as we were just talking,
Yeah.
isn't that there are so many artists. It's that there's so many different platforms for them to put things. You have social
Yeah.
media, you got, SoundCloud, YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, all that fun stuff. So it's like they're able to release the music. Whereas, like
Mhm.
you said, like before, like if you wanted to find an artist, like you had to go on the street, you had to hustle, you had to walk down the street and find somebody that was handing out mixtapes. Like that's how the underground people were
Yeah.
found. So it's like now that you have just the not only the ease of being able to make music, but the ease of being able to release music. I think that's what makes it a little bit more challenging. And like you said, trying to cipher out the the crazies from the people who are actually putting their heart and soul into creating music.
Yeah. Um, yeah. There's just, yeah, like you said, tons of avenues and ways that people get it. And I feel like our culture's being just like trimmed down to like 8 seconds, like that's the attention span of people. So
Yep,
they're playing to that whole culture of they know what our attention span is. So TikToks and things like that are like what's hot right now. YouTube's trying to do the short section or whatever the thing they're trying to do with those short videos. So like, I don't know if I think that's a bad thing. I really like, for me, I like music videos. When I do music videos, I
yeah,
know a lot of them are short these days, but I like to have a cinematic like thing to them. So like a lot of my ideas and shit, like I want to make a music video that has a pause in the middle or like has a story backline. I haven't really got to do this yet, but these are things I want to do.
I
But I
got you.
feel like people would be like, oh, it's too fucking long, you know what I'm saying? And not end up not watching it. So then it kind of deters me from kind of doing it or trying it out. I'm going to do it. There's no doubt about it. It's just, I feel like if when I do it, people are going to be like, oh, this is way too long or something, and then miss out on the whole artistic side of things, just because of how culture is these days.
Yeah. See, I connect better with music videos. Like I can hear a song, but then once I see the video, like the video makes me like the song
Yeah.
even more or even like the song at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, okay, now I rock with the song. Let me keep listening a
Yeah.
little bit more.
Yeah,
No, it's
definitely.
crazy, man.
Yeah. But yeah, the way I'm definitely the same way. I always tell everybody that I'm working with now, like you should get a music video, like you should have one for every fucking song you put out, even
Yep.
if you don't end up releasing it, like, having a music video and having that option is good if you can, you know what I'm saying? Some people can't because they don't have the equipment or they don't have the money to pay for the music video. But in that case, amazing things can be done with a gimbal like this one right here. This is a DJI
Yeah.
gimbal. You can stick your phone on here and get good shots with a phone. You can do music videos if you just really if you really want to. You can make it happen. There's no doubt about it. You can get someone to hold your phone if you have to or whatever. I just think that visuals these days, it's you know it's a whole new ball game, really. Like everyone, even people who aren't great, like people who have no budget, people who got like 16 followers on YouTube got music videos, you know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
everyone should have one. And yeah, I mean, go from there. YouTube's awesome for building stuff, and awesome to work with too for advertising. If you never work with YouTube, like for
I
advertising,
heard about that. Yeah. I heard
yeah, they're
about
pretty
that.
good. They'll push your video. They'll put it in the right spots where people who are likely to subscribe will subscribe. I hit over 1,000 subscribers this year, and I use YouTube ads all the time to push certain videos and stuff like that. And it's always been good to help get the subscribers and stuff like that. So I always say get some video content up, man. That's awesome thing to do. Even if it's not music videos, record a lot of shit and let your fans know with visuals what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, because people want to see that these days. So, and if you're not on TikTok, get on TikTok, because that's, I heard, is a popping thing. And I got
Sure.
a couple things going on there now finally. But Libsy's all over that thing. He's always telling me
Yeah.
to get on TikTok and shit. So it is a great way to get out there. And yeah, I mean, self promotion is a great thing too. Like, people don't realize how much you have to actually invest cash into your own career to get out there. You can do a certain amount with no money, but at some point you have to invest in something.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
a good place to look if you are trying to invest in yourself is Indie Amplify. Indie Amplify is run by a few people, but more or less futuristic. The rapper is pretty
Yep.
much in charge of that. But he's really a dope person, and he's very well connected. And Indie Amplify can help you get on playlists, real organic playlist placement on like Spotify and Apple Music and all that shit. And if you got music videos, they can help promote those too through playlisting and other means as well. And I'm not going to say it's like cheap, but it's not too expensive to get started with them. And they're not a sponsor or anything, but I've used them in the past, and it's like, they're just, I would say, if you're going to promote yourself, look at reputable people, and they are one of them. So Submit Hub's another one we talked about the other day too. Shout out Submit Hub for working. I've never worked with them personally, but yeah, everybody's got good things to say about them too. So if you're going to invest in yourself, take a little time, check out those websites, and you'll find that self promotion works. It does. We just hit 55, almost going to hit 56,000 plays on Live Resin on Spotify. So that's all from Indie Amplify organic playlist placements.
Dope.
So yeah, so I'm super pumped about that. It's like the most successful thing I've ever done that has been released out. So I can't really complain, but yeah. For sure.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, I mean, message to everybody: you got to keep expanding yourself. You got to keep just pushing the envelope, despite what people say. Like, just keep learning, keep educating yourself. Stop
Yep.
settling for just how things are, and just create that plan and just make something happen. There's plenty of avenues and ways for you to create, even if you have to use a simple microphone, even if you have to use your iPhone
Yep.
to shoot a music video, whatever it is. Like, dude, like, you can make it happen. Stop thinking like I hear this a million times. Like, stop thinking that you have to have like the crazy quality, all that stuff
Hmm.
to make it. Like, people just like, as long as you can just get the concept and put the video together, like, it'll reach the right people,
Yeah.
and it'll hit, and you just keep
It
putting out
shows your
content.
drive. It shows your drive and your will to like make things for yourself. And like, I think that goes a long way with people too. Sometimes when they're looking for artists who set themselves out from other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, this
Mhm.
this dude made this dope video, but all he had was this. So respect for that. Like, he did what he could. Like,
Sure.
I think a lot of times the culture now is like that. We lean towards that, like you said, uplifting and positive way of looking at things kind of helps everybody out in the long run.
For sure, man. No, man, great messages, man. Definitely have enjoyed this conversation. This has been super dope, and hopefully some people can take away from this, just to keep having that drive and to keep pushing themselves to just learn and expand their craft, outside of just what they're typically used to or even comfortable with. But we got bars over bars that is going to be coming up momentarily. So make sure, if you're watching this live right now or if you're watching this later, head over to Bars Over Bars for the Bars Over Bars live stream, where they're going to be kind of critiquing music. People are going to be submitting music. Check that out. Get some critiques. Learn something even more from them. Obese the Prophet, man, this has been a super dope conversation. Thank you
Hell
for
yeah.
coming on, taking your time out of this. I know you're going to be probably jumping on the Bars Over Bars podcast right after this. But
Yeah.
again, appreciate you, man. Shout out to Bars Over Bars, MOCG. Who else do I gotta say? Turntable Teachers, Blaze Training, Obese the Prophet. Make sure you follow all of these amazing people. Their links will be right in here on YouTube once this gets posted up. So make sure that you follow them, check them out, and just show support. It goes a long way. So appreciate you, appreciate everybody that's tuned in and watched this. My name is Jay Faith. This is Right Mind Wednesdays, and we'll catch y'all later.
Peace.